Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, guys. You got your boys, the Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny, the Dividend Diplomats, guys. And we're here to talk to you about a giant in the tech industry that's saying, hey, dividend investors, daddy's home.
Before we jump in, subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Guys, let's go. Let's hit financial freedom together. Let's do it. Let's talk about this tech stock. This was quite the story this last week, Lanny.
Let's talk about this $1 trillion tech stock. Let's talk about the stock that's up over 100% from last year to this year. Let's put on the Oculus. Let's talk about Meta, aka Facebook. Ticker symbol is Meta. The AI, the metaverse king. I don't know what do we want to call them, but they announced some home run hitting quarter here. Really shows that their cost cutting strategies, their ability to move fast and improve that operating margin can be done. And man, they must be some of the best in the business to do just that.
Yeah, because to move a ship like Meta and move it that quickly is very, very impressive. Just looking at that earnings release, their revenue jumped up 25%. And think about this, Lanny. Last year's revenue was 32 billion for the Q4. So to jump 25% and get your revenue to 40 billion, unbelievable for Meta. Holy freaking
A
cow.
lot of a lot of Pokemon cards they must have been selling on eBay.
They
The
probably did.
greatest part was this: when you peeled back the layers of that, they increased revenue, but their cost to get the revenue decreased. Let me just say that again. The revenue increased in dollars. The cost to get the revenue decreased comparative to the cost in total last year.
Why?
Let that sink in. That is called margin. Their margin was more than two times the fourth quarter last year, which was 20%. It jumped to 41% operating margin.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, there's some good and some bad that comes with it, right? Because when you evaluate a full company, especially that large for cost savings, obviously people are usually at the forefront of that. So a lot of jobs were slashed, thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs were slashed, which is terrible for the employees, great for the company. But you don't make up that kind of a gap by just cutting employees alone. You do that through tough expense management, slowing down, cutting, trimming all the fat, and it really paid off for Meta. It's absolutely wild, Lanny. Absolutely wild.
It is wild. So net income was, naturally up, not one times, not two times, but three times what Q4 was last year. Obviously, year to date, everything was also firing in all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
EPS year to date was $15.19. And Meta was like, hey, we've got all this earnings, we've got all this revenue, we've got all this cash coming through. The question was, outside of share buybacks, Meta had a question to ask the board and management. And they asked one question: what do we do with additional earnings and cash flow? What can we do? Bert, what do you think?
I think basically what I'm hearing is load it up into a helicopter and drop it. That's my what I'm picturing, right? That's their Super Bowl ad halftime. Just throw cash everywhere in the Super Bowl. We're kidding. That's not at all what they did. Why are we talking about Meta, everybody? Why are we talking about Meta? Lanny, what's the first name of our channel? What's the first?
Guys, we are the dividend diplomats. So Meta announced their first ever initiated dividend of 50 cents, which they intend to pay per share per quarter going forward. $2 then per share per year is going to be under our evaluation. The shock of the year, the shock of the decade, possibly here in tech. Meta paying a dividend. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I don't think you can share the text message I sent you, Lanny, when you told me that Meta was paying a dividend, but it I can't share it, but I was shocked because I hadn't seen it because it was after hours where when it happened. You sent it to me, and I could not believe it. I was blown away that we are here talking about Meta. That's absolutely wild, Lanny.
And so much, so wild that this sent the stock up 15% here in the after hours. Again, we're recording this on Thursday, February 1st. The stock is currently up $60 per share in the after hours.
Mm-hmm.
So people must be looking and liking the Meta feedback here from their earnings release and announcements. But what we do here on the Diplomats channel is we run dividend stocks, which Meta is, through the Dividend Diplomat stock screener, baby, focused on three metrics. One, that price to earnings ratio, less than the S&P 500. Two, that dividend payout ratio, preferably less than 60%. The history of growing dividends. Last but not least, dividend yield. Bert, I can't believe we're actually running Meta through this screener. This doesn't feel right.
It doesn't
Doesn't
feel right. I
feel
can't
right.
believe that we are here on YouTube, a Google-owned channel, talking about Meta and their dividend increase. It's absolutely wild. Let's run them through, Lanny. Do we? Yeah, let's just run them through with what they closed at, and then we can have some fun after and just show what the PE ratio is going to jump up to, assuming the after hours pop holds. So their price is 394.78, EPS 15.19, P ratio.
That's just using the released
Yeah,
earnings,
not
not
even
even using
forward.
estimates. Yeah.
Yeah, 25.99. Unreal. That's actually not that expensive for a tech. Like, that's not bad for one of the big tech companies.
No, no. Now that they pay $2 per share per year, that payout ratio is low at 13%.
It's wild. Absolutely wild. Their 5-year dividend growth rate, they don't have one because this is their first year of increasing dividends there. So we're starting off that journey. You know what they say, 24 more years until you're an aristocrat. That's the new tagline there at Meta. Screw
I
the
wonder if they'll
screw the
follow
metaverse.
suit from IBM.
Oh God. Oh God. So their yield, let's talk about this yield. That $2 dividend, their current yield is 0.51% using that closing price of 394.78. Bad, but should we shock it a little bit, Lanny? Assuming it jumps up another what? 40, like $50 a share here?
I'm
Or
gonna call it. I'm gonna add. I just added $60 a share.
all right.
That PE jumps to 30. The payout ratio obviously stays the same, but the yield drops to 0.44%. So a pretty significant difference when you pop $60 or 15%.
I would. So that's Meta. Still can't believe it. We're running Meta through our screener. Absolutely wild. They are back in the dividend game. They have a 0.5% yield. Absolutely wild. Lanny, should we just touch here on the other piece? I know we talked about it for a second, but that $50 billion share buyback.
Yeah, they're buying back a couple shares.
Yeah. So if you take that 50 billion, divide that by the 394, that's about 126 million shares that they could buy back at that price. And they're 1031 10Q. They had 2.2 billion Class A shares. So they have the right to buy back 5% of their outstanding Class A shares if they want to. So,
Prices going up, the shareholders are reacting right now. Bert and I, we were talking, and guys, let us know in the comments if you own Meta stock. Did you buy it during 2022's downturn in tech? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think about the initiated dividend here from Meta. You got to let us
yeah.
know.
And I guess at least the good news is for all these funds out there that have the big tech companies, whether you directly own Meta or
VOO has a
yeah,
good little slot in there.
yeah, we didn't buy Meta directly, but we're at least getting something there from that VOO dividend. It's going to be a little sliver of Meta here. So let them know, Annie. Let them freaking know.
I'm letting you guys know that VOO does this, baby. Let us know if you guys are buying Meta
Yes.
now that they're a dividend stock too. If you didn't want to own them,
Mhm.
and now that they pay it, let us know.
You haven't
I'm,
already.
I'm not buying Meta right now, but I indirectly own a lot, and Bert, you the same.
I agree. We'll keep watching, but it's fun. This also does now open up the possibility, Lanny, of if there is a drop in Meta at some point in the future, now that they're back in they're not back, now that they are in the dividend arena, if there is a drop that ever puts them at a huge undervaluation, that's how it shoots up on our watch list.
That is right. And that's all she wrote, guys. Subscribe to this channel. Like the heck out of this video. Give some love for Bert and Lanny, your favorite dividend broskies here on the YouTube verse. It's funny. The metaverse, YouTube verse, huh? Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Go ahead, Bert.
No, I was gonna say, whether we're saying this in the YouTube verse or we're saying this in the metaverse, there's only one thing left to say here, Chico.
You're either with us or you're against us, Jack. That was Bert the Hurt and Lanny from the DD over and out.